Hello and welcome to the season 5 of my podcast What's in a Story, titled Snippets from Forgotten Pages of History of South Asia. I am Lopamudra Moitro, an anthropologist, writer, translator and columnist, and in my podcast I read stories from my books on India and South Asia. The stories of this podcast are mostly from folklore and mythology and history, and I introduce each story with some additional information from the pages of history, archaeology, geology and others, which actually helps to place the stories within a specific context. In this season, we will be looking at some lesser known or completely unexplored and forgotten stories from history, which has been put together in my books through the help of old books, newspapers, gazetteers, numismatic or epigraphical evidences, which will be mentioned in the introduction of each story. These also help to provide a possible time of the origin of the story. Let's listen to today's story of season 5 of my podcast What's in a Story, titled Snippets from Forgotten Pages of History of South Asia. And this podcast, which began as a small individual effort of mine last year in 2025 May, thanks to you listeners all over the world, today reaches across 12 countries. And apart from India, these include Sri Lanka, Bhutan, UK, Germany, Russia, France, Austria, Brazil, Bhutan, Singapore and Poland. So, thanks to all the listeners who have been supporting the podcast over the last year. Keep listening and don't forget to follow my podcast and add the stories to your collection. Let's listen to today's story. The title of today's story is The Copper Tiled House, and I read this from my book The Owl Delivered the Good News All Night Long, Folktales, Legends and Modern Lore of India by Aleph Book Company. A little bit about the story. The original story is in Marathi language, and it has been written by Rukshana Nanji and translated in English for my book. This is a 19th century short story, and it has lived in the collective memory of the Christian Mandvi Koli fishing community of Mumbai in Western India in a lyrical form for many decades and a couple of centuries now. It provides an interesting and rare glimpse into the interface between the Kolis, the Koli community, who were the original inhabitants of the region of Mumbai, the city of Mumbai, and the Parsis, the Parsi community, who had settled and thrived there, and also the British, who governed the land in the colonial times in India. The Parsis were the tax collectors and the arbiters for the British, since they received Bombay, now known as Mumbai, as part of Catherine of Braganza's dowry. The friendship between the Kolis and the Parsis date back to 1692, when Bombay was severely affected by a bout of plague and an attack by the Siddhis of Janjira, and was repelled by a Parsi tax collector, Rastamji Dorabji, along with a contingent of Kolis. The British, in appreciation of the brave deeds of the Parsis, awarded the title Patel on Rastamji Dorabji and his descendants. In 1912, an Englishman, S.M. Edwardes, published a slim volume, Byways of Bombay. This volume included a story called Governor and Koli, in which Edward Hayes presented the narrative but said that the original song was actually lost and only a part of the song was quoted by him, which is as follows. Seaman Koli of simple mould hath in his house great store of gold. Lo, at the order of Topiwala, Koli is peer of Batliwala. However, in 1923, Edward Hayes wrote an article called A Koli Ballad in the journal The Indian Antiquary, in which he presented the entire Marathi song and story which had been recomposed in 1880 by Antone Dhondu Nakhwa, an old Koli. Surprisingly, the part of the song earlier mentioned by Edward Hayes did not find mention in this version. According to Edward Hayes, the house on Dongri Street, which was occupied by Mahadev Dharma Patel, a headman of the Kolis in 1906, was the very house with the copper tiles. Once removed from the roof, these tiles were affixed to the wall, since they were so legendary. Unfortunately, no trace of them or the house has survived at present. The appearance of Juran Patel's name in government land records denote vast holdings and attest to his great wealth. Follows the story, The Copper Tiled House, from my book, The Owl Delivered the Good News All Night Long, Folktales, Legends and Modern Lore of India. The story, The Copper Tiled House. The following story is from the Sattar Mohalla, where lived the virtuous and saintly Juran Koli. Beyond the fort walls lies the village of Kolivara, where Juran is the leader of the Kolis. Fair and just like a Skemita, Juran wields his authority as the Patel of the Panchayat. The following story is actually describing the ballad, which I will describe at the end of the story. The story of the ballad goes as: one day, Juran Patel and the Wadia were sitting and gossiping on the veranda of Juran's house when suddenly the carriage of the governor passed by. The Parsi rose and made profound salutations. However, Juran remained seated and showed no signs of paying any respect towards the governor. "Who is this unworthy Koli?" inquired the governor finally of the Wadia. And the latter replied, "Oh, he is the special favorite of goddess Lakshmi, for he spreads his gold daily to dry, measuring them with the phada. His cellars bulge with wealth, his riches are beyond compare, and he continued, many coat the soles of their shoes with wax and trample over his hoard. But the pile of wealth, however, never dries. Never is he short of money. He goes on drying his gold and silver in full measure and never misses a coin, for goddess Lakshmi always fills up his cellars. He is in truth a real mine of riches." The governor, in wonder, turned towards Juran Patel and asked him how much wealth he possessed. And the Patel answered, "Take away as much as you can by measure and by cartload." And straightway the carts were collected. They stretched in an unbroken line from Sattar Mohalla to the fort in Mumbai. The governor, amazed at so much wealth, cried, "Only express the wish and I will make you a zamindar," that is a landlord. But the Patel declined the honor and added, "My lord, take away as much as you will. I only ask your permission to roof my house with silver tiles." The governor demurred and suggested the use of copper tiles instead. "Henceforth, it shall be the privilege of your family to use 5 copper tiles. This will make you famous. Songs will be sung in your honor. Your name, O Koli Patel, will be more widely known than the beating of a battaki." Today, though he is dead, the name of Juran Patel is known throughout India. His fame has become legendary, and this ballad or paura, which was sung in praise of Juran Patel, was composed by Antone, son of Dhondu. Let us sing it, and let Inas, decorated with pearls and diamonds, with the banner in his hands and pipe in his mouth, make you merry. Within this ballad, the word "sher" might mean sher, as in Urdu, or it might mean chorus, which is sung by a group and the main portion is sung by the lead singer. The word Dharmadata within the poem might be the poet, and the singer might have been Dhondu Tanya Antone, as mentioned in the last stanza. An important thing to note here, following most folk poems, at the very end there is a signature where the poet signs off speaking about himself, his name, and leaving a personal note for the listener. Here goes the ballad, and it begins with a chorus. The first paragraph. Once upon a time, 2 friends, Varya and Juran Patel, were chatting in Juran's courtyard. Speeding away went the governor's carriage, says the singing bard. Varya got up with joint hands to wish the mighty governor, but Juran Patel, not moving an inch, kept sitting without a care. Dharmadata, the governor, questioned Varya, "Who is this Koli gentleman?" Varya said, "O Lord, this person has goddess Lakshmi living in his abode. He dries his money in the sun and uses shovel to count it, O Lord. He stores his wealth in the big warehouse with blessings of the god." The second stanza follows the chorus. Many men put wax on the sole of their shoe and walk on the money that he is drying. But the money remains with him, O Lord, despite people trying. Varya told the governor Juran was truly a gold mine. Dharmadata, the governor, said to Juran, "Oh, you wealthy man, tell me how much wealth you have. Tell me if you can." Patel said, "Feel free to take as much as you want. Fill the carts and carry it with you. It won't make a difference at all." Finally, the third stanza, the chorus follows. The governor lined up the carts and Patel filled them with money. The governor said, "Ask anything in return, I will grant you a wish." Patel said, "I need nothing. Allow me to cover my roof with silver tiles." Dharmadata, the governor, said, "O Patel, you may use 5 copper tiles on the roof. People will sing your praises forever. Your fame will spread all over." Dhondu Tanya Antone sings his praise, whose brooms are studded with pearls and gems. Playing the drums, I sing for you to amuse you with my song.